Hi, my name is Malden. Today I'm going to discuss the impact of government tax increase on output and interest rate from the perspective of the ISLM model. Let's start with the ISLM model. The IS curve represents the equilibrium in the goods market. It shows the relationship between the output and the interest rate when the goods market is in balance. Any point on the IS curve indicates that the total demand for goods and services equals the total supply. The LM curve, on the other hand, represents the equilibrium in the money market. It shows the combination of output and the interest rate at which the demand for money equals the supply of money. The intersection of the IS and LM curves determines the equilibrium output and interest rate in the economy. At this point, both the goods market and the money market are in equilibrium. Now, let's dig deeper into how the tax increase affects the IS curve. When the government raises taxes, it's like taking a chunk of money out of the pockets of households and firms. This directly hits their disposable income. As we all know, when people have less money to spend, they will naturally cut back on consumption. And it's not just households. Firms may also be affected. They might have less internal funds available for investment due to the higher tax burden. This, combined with the reduced consumption, leads to a significant decrease in total demand. In the complex equation that governs the goods market equilibrium, this results in a lower output for a given interest rate, and that is why the IS curve shifts to the left. It's like a domino effect, starting with the tax increase and rippling through the economy, changing the balance in the goods market. To provide a more precise and quantitative understanding, let's assume specific values for the consumption and investment functions and government spending. The government spending is set at $3,000. These values are chosen for illustrative purpose and can be adjusted based on different economic scenarios and assumptions. This mathematical analysis provides solid evidence and further confirms the leftward shift of the IS curve that we discussed earlier. It shows us exactly how sensitive the equilibrium output is to changes in tax and help us quantify the impact of the tax increase on the goods market. Here is the initial situation of the ISLM model. The ISLM curves intersect at point E1. At this point, the output is Y1 and the interest rate is R1. This is like a snapshot of the economy before any policy changes are made. After the government increases tax, we will now show the shift of the IS curve from IS1 to IS2. The leftward shift would be clearly illustrated on the graph to indicate the change in the goods market equilibrium. This shift is a visual representation of the economic impact of the tax increase. The new intersection point is E2. At this point, we can observe that the output has dropped from Y1 to Y2, and the interest rate has also fallen from R1 to R2. These changes are the direct result of the tax increase and the subsequent adjustment that the economy has made to reach a new equilibrium. Output drops from Y1 to Y2 as a tax hike cuts disposable income, lowering consumption. Households spend less on goods and services, like dining out and movies. There reduces consumer demand, causing business to sell less and produce less. Also, firms may invest less due to less funds and an uncertain outlook. If a firm plans to expand but faces higher taxes and uncertainty, it may delay or cancel investment. This lack of investment means less future economic activity, further reducing output. This interest rate falls from R1 to R2. As output drops, the demand for money for transactions declines because the economy is producing and selling less with the relatively fixed money supply. In the short term, the interest rate must decrease to keep the money market in balance. Otherwise, there would be a surplus of money. People would have extra money for transactions and would try to invest or save it, which would push the interest rate down until a new equilibrium is achieved with money demand equaling supply. However, we can't ignore the role of expectations. If people think that tax will keep going up in the future, they will be more cautious with their money. Households will save more and firms will invest less. This will make the IS curve shift even more to the left, and the output will go down even more. Expectations can really have a big impact on the economy and can make the situation worse if not managed properly. To offset tax increase negatives, the central bank can use expansionary policy. It can increase money supply. More money supply shifts LM curve right, cutting interest rate. Lower rates encourage borrowing and investment. Firms may borrow cheaper for equipment or expansion. Households may get loans for house or cars. This helps stimulate economy and offset tax cost output jobs. But in severe recession, firms and consumers may be too pessimistic for strong response to lower rates, which is the liquidity trap. Policymakers must balance short-term fiscal needs and long-term growth. Consider impacts on investment, consumption, employment when making policies. Maybe adjust tax policy to limit growth harm while handling fiscal issues. In summary, a tax hike now shifts the IS curve left, cutting current output and interest rate. Expectations can worsen this, slowing the economy more. The tax rise hits disposable income, affecting consumption and investment, leading to lower equilibrium. Future tax rise expectations can make things even tougher. Policymakers should be careful with tax hikes and consider their effects. They need to communicate well with the public to manage expectations and support growth. Our analysis has limitations since it relies on assumptions and simplifications. Future research could adopt more complex models with additional factors such as international trade, inflation expectations, and various economic agents. That's all. Thanks for listening.